SEC Football Media Days began today in Hoover, Alabama, with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey kicking things off. Sankey said that if any games have to be canceled due to COVID this season, they will not be rescheduled. And right now, 6 of the league's 14 teams have reached 80% vaccination. Our Dennis Dodd spoke at length with Sankey earlier today.
Greg Sankey, Commissioner of the SEC Conference, thank you for being here. What has your last year been like, if you could sum it up?
It's been tiring. You know, it's there's not been the usual pace that you're accustomed to, and there are probably different elements to that. The fall was just a constant, knot in your stomach. And then when we moved through mid-January, it lessened a little bit, but basketball had disruption, and then spring was rewarding, but then you're paying attention again to what's going to happen for next year. So there's not been the usual break of activity or of thought or of preparation.
And then this tremendous upheaval off the field with governance and the NCAA and NIL. You've been a leader in that. The Power Five have been a leader in that. How much more progress can the Power Five make in terms of autonomy, of governing things?
When you go back and look, probably in 2012, and the process to move towards what's called autonomy, which is just a kind of a limited set of rules where the 5 conferences can make decisions, there were other elements identified that just weren't accepted at the NCAA board level. So like the first simple answer is, well, let's go back and find that list. I think it might be buried someplace on my computer. Transfers was one. But if you turn the page and look forward, we're at a moment where more is apparent than ever. I think there's probably more understanding of the need for change, and so that suggests you might keep that old list, but then start with what are the principles around we want to operate, and how do we work through in some form of process to come to a destination, and who's involved. Today as we talk, do I have all those answers? No, but I can start to process through what's going to have to be done.
Yeah, I think you all have identified the issues, but part of your, things you've talked about is it's like turning around an aircraft carrier anytime you get the legislation done. How is that done faster?
Well, let's be honest that what happened at the Supreme Court level sends a clear signal of the need for change. What's happened around name, image, and likeness has identified a different regulatory approach, much less regulation. So those are 2 moments that can guide us. But you get into this bigger picture of Division I has 351 members, I think, 32 conferences. Everybody wants a seat at the table, which I understand. In fact, I was commissioner of the Southland Conference, and that was an important opportunity there. But does it foster the most effective decision making? We're going to have to leave things to conferences or really to campuses to decide, not just the rule book. We're going to have to say, hey, here's really what we care about. We want to make sure everybody plays a consistent number of games. They're in a season so you can play each other. If you talk to a sophomore in a high school, we don't care. Junior in high school, we don't care. That's your decision. If you travel at certain times of the year in certain ways, that's up to you. I mean, there are ways to get at kind of core issues, but it's going to have to be a different methodology.
NIL is here 2 weeks in, 2.5 weeks in. Can it endure the way it is? And if not, what sort of momentum do you sense from Congress intervening?
It can endure, so let's start there. Your question was the way it is. I think the way it is likely going to cause more turbulence than is foreseen right now. And it seems there's kind of 2 schools of thought. One is, it's like cost of attendance. Everyone was in an uproar. They're going to give 3,000. They're going to give 5,000. But there are a set of dominoes that fall along this name, image, and likeness process that cause me to say, hey, I'm kind of waving my hands here again, saying a federal solution has meaning. And why? So why is that important? Well, if you're a highly recruited young person and you're visiting 15 schools and trying to make decisions, which state laws do you worry about? You have to become an expert at 17 years old in 15 different state laws. That's not ideal for anyone. There are a lot of businesses that have rushed into this space, not a lot of oversight of those businesses. I would expect we're going to see some rough patches around that type of work. So for the young person who may be from Georgia, thinking about going to school in Wyoming, just to pick two states, they would benefit from a national standard that says whether you go to school in Georgia or Wyoming, you're going to have to worry about the same things. You're going to have the same structure around your experience. So to me, that's a starting point. And then can we provide the right kind of guardrails so that some of these dominoes that are on more extreme don't fall, which I think have maybe control implications. You can look at some NASCAR stories where people signed away very early in their career, really their name, image, and likeness, and they couldn't autograph things with their name. That's the absurdity that can hit, and that's another reason why I think acting at the congressional level with a uniform standard would benefit all of us, and not just administrators that are perceived as wanting control. I think it provides a reasonable management approach, whether you're a student or an administrator.
Great points. 6 weeks from now, we're going to play football. I think I have this right. You didn't travel much last year during COVID. How fun is that going to be, actually going to games and seeing the product?
We have a game in Knoxville on Thursday night, and there's a volleyball match with the national champion defending team Kentucky and Lexington on Friday night, and there's a game in Charlotte on Saturday, and a game in Atlanta on Monday. So I've already scoped it out.
Wow, you've thought about this.
I mean, just the chance to feel something. Our softball tournament was probably the first time where it felt, from an atmosphere standpoint, normal. And that was fun. And then kind of forward to the college, or excuse me, the College World Series. I almost jumped to the college football play, the College World Series. That was normal. And it will be enjoyable to feel that again. Speaking
of normal, again, going to the fall, you said 6 of your 14 teams have reached, I think, the 80% threshold in the vaccine. You and Bob Bowlesby have advocated for getting the vaccine. How do you get the word out and get to the 14?
It's great for me to be at a microphone and raise the issue, but the individual conversations, the direct frontline educational efforts are what's key. And to have conversations, to ask experts, not people on TV, but ask doctors and scientists what really happens with the vaccine, or what are the implications of catching and dealing with the virus. That's the information that helps. But that accelerator pedal of information has to be pressed, and the urgency has to be raised. That I can do behind the microphone.
All right, and these are the odds to win the SEC, with Alabama, the favorite, -140. Georgia, +250. That's the expected matchup in the SEC championship game this upcoming season. But Texas A&M coming off a one-loss season, 9-1. Of course, they would have to beat Alabama in the SEC West to get to the SEC championship game, and then a couple more contenders. LSU at 12-1, Florida at 14-1.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.